Good afternoon, YouTube and the internet. I went to look at my watch on here. It's actually on my other hand because I like to swap it over every now and then because tan lines. If you watched my last video, you will know the Falcon is drivable, but it's not great. I could drive it if I leave the center console out in case the gear lever pops off. So my thoughts are also, I've got some quotes on that and time frames. It's more than it's worth, and it's going to be ages. So it's a do-it-myself job. So I like to pull the box out and repair that park brake problem. Still got the mate's ute at the moment. He may need that back at any moment, which is fine. The Falcon will stand in if I need to. But plan is Mini, which I've done nothing with since replacing the power steering and the battery. The brakes were no good. When I took it for a test drive after I'd done the steering, I tried to lock the brakes, like, you know, hard braking. I don't know if it's got ABS, I'll check that in a minute. But no ABS coming on and no ability to lock, so the braking force is inadequate for the car. It's sat for 5 years. I'm hoping it's just some stiff slider pins or something. So today I'm going to have a look, get these filthy wheel off, and see if I can do the brakes, and then I'll give it a tidy up and get it registered. This is massively disappointing. This is some sort of Torx, not even Torx, some sort of special key for this wheel. I'm hoping that in the boot of this car is a tool for that. Nuisance number 2. There's no manual boot release. Got the key. There's nowhere to open it. So I've had to put a jumper pack on to be able to access the boot. Ooh. I'm hoping somewhere in here is a spare tyre type arrangement with some tools. Oh, cigarette lighter, PowerPoint. Alright, I'll dig into here and have a look. Maybe I'll check the manual, but it's got to be something under that boot. So everything's here, including this, which was in here. This in here, and I think this is like a get your home auto inflation kit, some sort of chemical tyre filling jiggery pokery. I don't care too much about it, so I'm not looking at it now, but we've got the tool. At least I hope it's the tool. It looks like it's the right shape. When I want a chicken dinner. Is it the same size head? We've got a win. So, visual inspection on these brakes. The rotor's rusty, expect that, sitting. The brakes don't look rusty. There's heaps of meat on the pads. The slide pin doesn't look like it's got any corrosion or anything where you can see it. None of the mechanics that would move look like they'd be rusted. It could just be a bleed job. If it is, then the brake fluid is the worst I've ever seen. But that's entirely possible. So I'm just going to crack this off and make sure everything moves freely. It's just a banjo, so I'll just clamp that line, undo these 2 bolts, one there, just get the assembly off, make sure it moves freely, make sure the piston, I'll just connect that line back up, make sure the piston's not seized or anything silly like that, and everything moves freely. And if that's the case, I'll just bleed the brakes and see how it goes, because I don't see any reason for there to be any mechanical issue with these brakes. When I say they're bad, I mean they're the worst I've ever put my foot on. And I guess it makes sense that it's not bound up, because it wasn't the fact that I hit the brakes hard and it resisted and didn't slow down like the Corolla was, and that was stiff slide pins and just stiff hardware, which was fixed with tidying all that up. This just felt hydraulically poor, which would make sense. It's probably just fluid. But I'll give those calipers a once over and if they need any extra work I'll let you know. Otherwise, I mean, I'll probably show you what I do. That'll be about it, and I don't expect there to be any issues with them. So let me get some tools and get cracking. So because Mini is BMW and BMW's got to be BMW, that's an 11mm bolt, that banjo, and that tacks up nicely away there, out of the way, which means we've got completely free access to these bolts. And these look like, I don't know, 16, 17. Normally you'd guess a 17, but because of BMW it could be 16, and neither my 16 or 7 are in this set. Can confirm 16mm. So the caliper, yeah, it looks fine. The piston pushed back quite easily. I'm just going to pop this pin so this this pad's not binding it and make sure everything slides. Pin, clip, whatever this is. I'd call it a clip. Both sides. Lovely jubbly. Pad 1, there's the outboard. Don't leave her against the rubber boot. Maybe that's what that slot's for. No, that's also a rubber boot. I always get 2 hands to knock this pad out. Don't need to worry about which one's inboard and outboard. It's got like a big locator thing that sits in the piston, and that's why it didn't come straight out. So as far as the mechanics, slide pins move very easily. I'll show you. They did a second ago. There we go. In and out, no corrosion. Get that back out. That's fine. That's not going to cause any braking problems. These pads are fine. The piston itself pushed in just fine. So I've got no reason to suspect there's anything wrong with that. And also because these pads are brand new pretty much, all of the piston would have been hidden back there, so any splits or tears in the boot are not going to have let anything through because it's all behind the seal. Right here, so I can say these calipers are fine, and this just needs a brake bleed. The other thing, the house with that, you probably can't see with the light, where the brake fluid dripped here, both out of line and out of the caliper. When I took it off, I pushed the piston back. It's separated. So like the oily, very viscousy stuff sat on top, and the rest of it sort of absorbed into the wood. So I say there's a lot of water has gotten into the reservoir over years and years of sitting, and that's all that's wrong with it. So I'm going to give it a brake bleed, take it for a run around the block and see. Hopefully I've still got a brake bleeding kit, which is just a tube with a valve in it. Yeah, just has to jack up the back. So obviously brake bleeding, you want to start at the furthest point from the brake master cylinder, so that's here. So we do left rear first, right rear second, front left third, front right last. That means that everything, in the longest line gets taken out first, so you don't end up with a little bit drawn back in and then mixing them with the new fluid. Anyway, I'm going to have a quick look for the 6,000 bottles of brake fluid I have, and my brake bleeding tool. If I can't find them, I'll probably just run down to Super Cheap and grab another one there, cheap as shit. Okay, been down to Super Cheap. It's like a drag car. One of these. This is not the one I prefer. The one I prefer is like a big knob with a valve in it and a hose, but this will do the trick. I think the hoses are a bit on the small side, but I think the nipples on this are quite small as well. It's on the other side. My hands are still clean. I'm going to keep them that way. So we're going to bleed the brakes, and that should fix it. Now, one thing you could do to test the caliper cylinder is just basically to force this out. You put the pads back in, you wedge some rags or something in there so it doesn't come all the way out, and just force some compressed air and the cylinder will slide out. Again, that wasn't, the symptom wasn't hard pedal or resistance in the braking. It was just soft pedal. It didn't even feel soft. It just wouldn't brake really hard. So just driving around 60 k's an hour and slowing down for corners around my block was fine. It felt like it stopped perfectly adequately. It was only under emergency braking situations it wasn't adequate. So a couple of things I'm going to do is just clean up these front rotors. So I'll do that before I put this caliper back on, because it'll be easier, I think, to do. And then get the back up, bleed the brakes, get it registered. So I'm going to use two hands, but here's what I'm going to do. That's basically it. It'll look better than that. Two hands, inside out, and do the hub just to stop the wheel sticking. It was actually quite stiff on the other side, and there's a bit of corrosion built up. You can see there's a bit of a lip there, but that'll come off with a bit of wide wheel. Now I had a comment recently on, I think it might have been on the Corolla brakes when I did this on the bench with a drill, saying full face protection, you don't want a piece of wire. I'm a boilermaker by trade. I've used wire wheels, etc., very large ones, and had lots of pieces of wire embedded in my body. I'm fully aware of the risks. This cordless drill operates at about, what, 250 RPM, and a 5-inch angle grinder operates at about 7,500 RPM. There's a difference. Yes, if you're using a grinder, a high-speed tool, 100%. Also, the direction of the wire. Most wire wheels that you use on angle grinders point out from the center, so the wires get flung out, and they get flung out pretty fast. And absolutely, if you're doing that, full face protection, 100%. This isn't going to hurt you. If you want to, if you choose to, wear safety glasses and full face protection, have at it. By all means, take whatever safety precautions you feel you need to. Nothing wrong with it. In fact, I used to get mocked for wearing my respirator when welding with bare wire, and then it came out that the copper vapor can actually cause poison over a long enough amount of time, and everyone had to wear them while using bare wire anyway. But I'd been doing it for several years before then and being mocked, but I chose to wear it. So yeah, do whatever you want as far as, you know, additional PPE, but I don't need face protection for this. And if you disagree, have at it. Tell me in the comments that I'm wrong. I don't care. When you're done, should look something like that. So all the rust is off this surface, pretty much all of it's off that. With use, this will clean up pretty well. There's no real bad pits, there's no sizable lips or anything there. Might put a little bit of copper grease or something on the hub, just to stop the wheel sticking. Might clean the inside of the wheel up as well, actually. And yeah, just got to do the inside now, which just involves turning. Oh, God damn it! Just involves turning the wheel. I don't know why it keeps wanting to spring back. The other wheel's off. There should be no weight on that. I guess it's just the geometry of it. But if I use the steering lock to stop it turning back, it'll stay where I put it. And we'll get stuck into the back side. It doesn't look too bad either. I better take it out of park so I can rotate it. Okay, now it's in park. I can't take the keys out to lock the hub. What a pain in the ass. Also, I had to put my foot on the brake to get it out of park, so obviously I'm going to have spilt brake fluid everywhere because, yep, it was spurting out. I could feel the pressure dropping on my foot. Anyway, it's now out of park. I just get the inside clean 1/4-ish at a time. So, rotor's cleaned up on both sides, caliper back on here. Now this banjo bolt has a, just make sure the clamp didn't damage that line. Certainly dented it, but I think it's okay. This banjo bolt has a crush washer on it, copper. I would recommend changing that. I haven't, because I'm about to pressurise all the brakes by bleeding it, and I'll soon know if there's any damage. I didn't think to get one, and I don't have one the right size. For the purpose of bleeding, it'll be fine, and if there's any leaking or loss of pressure there, I'll find out about it pretty quick, and I'll be able to just go and get a crush washer to suit. But honestly, I think it'll be fine. Alright, now I need to jack up the back of the car, which means I need some axle stands and not just a jack under the front. You can see I just had tyres sitting under there as a safety thing. The jack let go, it wouldn't hit the ground. I was not under it at any point. But it wouldn't hit the ground and damage anything at the same time. But jack hasn't let go, hasn't fallen, it's all good. But to jack the back up, I'm going to want axle stands so we've got some balance. So, backs were pretty much rusted to the hub. Really hard to get off, but got them. Given that a clean up. The nipple here is a 10. Also, before we put the line on, we put the spanner on. Crack, but I just discovered this. This was looped over the nipple. This is the brake wear sensor, but the pads that are in it won't take a brake wear sensor. The zip tie is loop to stop it flopping about, so that's a fail. I'm not going to worry about that today, but obviously the rear pads need to be the right ones to take the wear sensor. There's heaps of meat on these pads. They're pretty much brand new, so that was been done just before it was parked. For now, I'm going to go to the other side, pull the cap off, take my bleeding kit, and this is going to be a pain because that bottle's so friggin' small, because I'm going to have to get pretty much all the fluid that's in and out. But yeah, just pump the fluid out into the bottle. The bottle's got a hose in it, a bit like a bong. Think of a bong in reverse. Fluid comes out that line into the bottle, creates a seal because there's fluid in the bottle, so air can't be sucked back up when you lift your foot off the pedal. That's basically it. Now, comes with a magnet. Let's go there. So the magnet's not actually holding weight, and there's no cap on this one anyway. So spanner on first, 10mm. This has been mushed in the past, but look at it. This crappy hose that comes with it, which I thought looked very small. This whole system predicates on this hose fitting over a nipple, which clearly it doesn't, and I don't think I've seen a smaller nipple than this. I've got some other hose I could potentially use, but at that point then I'm just going to get a really like a large 600ml bottle of something and make my own. It's not over the nipple. So yeah, they didn't have the kit, the type I like, which has a much bigger hose on it. I've never actually used this one before, and it appears to be completely worthless. I'm going to give it a crack. So, crack the nipple. Lovely. Now, I can't find my syringe, but to accelerate the process, if I could suck the fluid in it that's out of it, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pump this dry with the pedal from that, so that bottle's going to fill up really quick. Let's try 3 strokes, see if it fell off. Hasn't even got the fluid of the bottle yet. Alright, as you can see, there's bird shit on the dash. I'll be cleaning that off when I wash the car. Okay. Is there any fluid left in the bottle? You can't see, I can't see. Oh, there's a screen. Oh, I can't get the screen now, but you can see from that there's still some in it, so I'm going to keep pumping. So, no matter how much I pump, and I did fill the bottle up at the, you know, in the drain, the bleed kit once. but it won't take any more, and I'm guessing there's some sort of valve, safety valve situation there that prevents you losing all the brakes if one of your lines starts leaking. That's a guess, but there's no fresh fluid coming out of here. You know what I need to do? I realise what I've done now. That was stupid. After I emptied the bottle, I forgot to crack the nipple. So disregard what I just said. It'll probably drain now. So as you can see, the bottle is pretty much empty, the reservoir. There's no indication that it actually went completely empty. There was still fluid in the line, and there was no feeling like I'd pulled any air in. Just checking regularly. I've emptied the bottle, so this is the colour of the fluid, and I'm going to take a photo of that. The reason I take a photo of that is to compare with the new fluid. So when the colours change from that wet, watered down, rusty, old looking colour to whatever colour this stuff is, which is probably clear. And the light's not great right here. Oh, it's blue, look at that, that'll be very easy to tell. So we're going to fill this reservoir right up. So when blue fluid starts coming out, we know we've flushed all the old fluid out of the system. At which point, we can stop bleeding that brake. Now, obviously that one's taken a little while. I've filled and emptied that little bottle 6 or 7 times, at least, I think. But now, it should, it's only the volume of the line really that needs to be pumped out. So once we get this first one done, the rest should be much quicker. Let me get this spanner here, make sure the line's on because that fell off once. We're good. Let's give it a couple of pumps. Long, slow pumps I found work better. And then holding at the top for a couple of seconds. Because I think the fluid was just being drawn back up the line. I'm going to give it 5 pumps and I don't think that will be enough. It's taken bugger all from there, which is well over full, but I fully expect to pull all this out, and that's still brown. So we've only pumped that much of the bottle, you can see it's quite slow. So after filling this fully once, a handful of pumps, you can see we've got blue in here. It's a bit of a green colour, so I'm going to say that's the very last bit that was in the reservoir is still there. I'm going to give it a couple more pumps, then this one's done. Because, it's pretty much the clean fluid. You could go for as long as you wanted and flush as much brake fluid through as you see fit. For how long the pedal was, I just need to flush all this old fluid out, and it is. If the blue stuff's coming through now, then all the old stuff's gone. Maybe the very last bit that was in the reservoir is what's currently at the caliper. But I'll give it a couple more pumps, have a look at the colour in the line, and once it's blue enough for my liking, I'll go to this one, which shouldn't take too long at all. So I had some trouble getting this one started. I had to back this nipple off a long way to get the fluid going. Did 10 pumps, that bottle was full and I had brake fluid spraying everywhere, so I had to quickly sort that out. Now you can see the colour here. Again, we've got rid of that yellow, we've got some blue. I'm going to give it a couple of pumps. You could see in the bottle before it was yellow at the bottom and blue at the top, but I'll pump a couple more times. Crack this nipple. Nearly fell over. And it might have just been trying to, retighten itself with gravity and stuff there, so that might have been why to open it up a long way. Because that might be it done up, yeah. So basically I need 2 hands to hold it, stop it, and then put the spanner down to stop it spitting back. But I'll do that, do a couple more pumps, we'll have a look at what's in the reservoir. Alrighty, the yellowy colour's gone, we've got blue in the reservoir, back's done. So we'll tighten this bad boy up. Also, the pedal feels substantially harder. The bottom of the pedal is much harder than it was previously. Could be that this has a bit of bias built into it. I mean, most cars, the braking bias is towards the front. It may be biased on pedal stroke. I don't know. But the pedal, the bottom quarter, I'm going to say, is firm. The top 2/3 is not. But obviously was spread over an open and two with shitty fluid, effectively what appears to be half water. So fully compressive fluid instead of non-compressive. Well, arguments about how compressive water is in the comments. It's more compressive than brake fluid. That's why you have brake fluid. Anyway, front left is next. Just take about some 5 minutes to do each one now. Let's hope this fixes it. I think it is. I feel like the pedal's better. In fact, now that the nipple's done up, that's still fairly soft. I wonder if that's done up all the way. Or did I put more into there just now? Oh, wrong way. That's a fair amount of force for a nipple. I'm going to say it's done up until something leaks, tells me otherwise. Anyway, I'll knock out the front too, see how she drives. So the passenger side was so quick and easy. I've decided I'll actually show you live on this one. So I cracked the nipple, put the hose on, like I said, loosen it off. The weight of the spanner is going to stop it from closing. I'll pop you there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pumps. The fluid's starting to go blue here. It's not as blue in there as I'd like, so obviously we're about there. I'm going to give it a few more pumps, but that's how easy it is. Obviously, like a large bottle with a hose in it that prevents the fluid from air getting into the tip of the hose where it comes out is basically all you need. I probably wouldn't pay $16–17 for that ever again. But yeah, because the lines are so much shorter in the front to the reservoir, it's not as much pumping, and because they don't have to like the divider block and everything full of the old fluid, the back corner, that you clear all that out through that rear corner, makes a massive difference how long each one takes. I'll give this a couple more. Always making sure your reservoir doesn't go empty, because you don't want to pull air in halfway through the process and have to start again. So yeah, I'm going to give this a couple more pumps, and I think it'll be ready for a test drive. Check some wheels on it. So now that front nipple's done up, I just want to give it a test. There's a little bit of give at the start of the pedal, but it's pretty firm just after that, and most road cars have a bit of play at the start of the pedal. So yeah, I guess I'll repeat that with the running while the brake booster's on. Top up the brake fluid, pop wheels on it, take it for a drive, and call a guy about a roadie, I reckon. Well, I'd call that a success. I definitely didn't drive the car around the block. I definitely loaded it onto the trailer, took it to a private property, unloaded it, and then tested the brakes, and they worked fine. Yeah, just the fluid's 100 friggin' years old on it, and it's hygroscopic, like E85. Yeah, just had contaminant in it and wasn't working. Now it's working. So apart from cleaning it up, I just need to get a roadie guy to look at it, get it regoed, and away we go. So yeah, mission successful. That's brake inspection and bleed, I suppose. That's what I call that. Don't know where my hat is. Took it off. Anyway, that's the meeting sorted. I reckon I'll be on the road at least by the end of this week. I'm actually going away this Tuesday, so for work, heading off the site. But it's only a 1 to 2 day trip, so hopefully end of the week I can get it regoed, or get it roadied and regoed by Friday. That would be the plan. Get the loaner back to my mate, and then look at that pile of crap. I mean, basically I got to drop the box, right? So I need to arrange some people to come and give me a hand, and probably do a shed clean up first. So I'm not looking for tools and shit, and then that'll be it. So yeah, another week, another successful mission. Did cost me mowing the grass this week. It rained yesterday, so I couldn't do it then, and I didn't feel like doing the car then, so that's why that didn't happen. Anyway, fucking thing. I'll see you when I see you. Shouldn't be too long. Got to get that gearbox out of that Falcon and pull that apart. Do that job next. Then once that's done, I'll sell the Mini and put that towards the gearbox for the race car. The proceeds from that. Sounds like a good idea. Alright, I'll see you guys another time.